Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to a new cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital. I am Uye Agumofwegbe. President Bola Tinubu will tomorrow receive a draft bill seeking a return to a regional system of government for Nigeria. The proposed legislation, authored by a chieftain of the Yoruba Socio-Cultural Association, Afenifere, Akin Fakbonda, and titled A Bill for an Act to Substitute the Annexure to Decree 24 of the 1999 New Governance Model for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, seeks, among others, new extant laws to be cited as the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria New Governance Model for Nigeria Act 2024. It had been reported that last week the bill was disowned by the House of Representatives, whose spokesman, Akin Rotimi, and the chairman Committee on Rules and Business said had not been listed for deliberation in the ongoing moves to review the 1999 Constitution as amended. While the bill is expected to be transmitted to the President tomorrow, Fakbonda, who also represents the coalition of indigenous ethnic nationalities, stated that the organization is proposing the division of the country into 8 geopolitical regions with approximate interim boundaries. The federal government has made an appeal to the organized labor to consider the broader economic implications of its push for what the government now considers an unrealistic higher national minimum wage. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, handed down the admonition and stated that the 250,000 naira minimum wage demanded by labor could undermine the economy, a situation he said may lead to mass retrenchment of workers and jeopardize the welfare of Nigerians. However, the labor unions have refuted President Bola Tinubu's claims during his Democracy Day broadcast that an agreement had been reached on the new national minimum wage. The Supreme Court has served reserved judgments in the suit filed by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, on behalf of the federal government against the 36 states governors of the Federation. The suit is seeking full autonomy for the 774 local governments in the country. In the suit, the federal government wants the apex court to enforce the autonomy of the local government, among other things, stopping state governors from appointing caretaker committees to administer local governments in their states. And still talking legal matters, a federal high court in Kano has ruled that it has jurisdiction to hear the human rights violation case filed by the dethroned Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, and Senior Councillor Aminu Dan Angundi, following the reinstatement of Emir Muhammad Sanusi II. The court issued an ex parte order preventing Governor Abba Yusuf of Kano from reinstating Sanusi until a substantive suit against the reinstatement is resolved. All parties were instructed to maintain the status quo until the suit filed by Sarkin Dawaki Baba and Aminu Baba Dan Angudi is determined. Governor of Zamfara State, Dauda Lawal, says banditry would become history in his state if he had control of the security outfits in the country. The governor lamented that the state has become the epicenter of kidnapping, cattle rustling, and other activities of bandits in the country. Lawal said as a governor, he understands the problem of banditry in his state and how to address the menace. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, has warned the public of the increasing trend of cholera cases across the country as the rainy season intensifies. The center, in a statement signed by its Director General, Dr. Jide Idris, said from January 1st to June 11th, 2024, a total of 1,141 suspected and 65 confirmed cases of cholera with 30 deaths had been reported from the 96 local government areas in 30 states. The center noted that the 10 states that contributed 90 to the burden of cholera include Bayelsa, Zamfara, Abia, Cross River, Bauchi, Delta, Katsina, Imo, Nasarawa, and Lagos. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, has intensified security measures ahead of the Eid al-Kabir celebrations in the Federal Capital Territory. The territory's commandant of the Corps, Dr. Olushola Odumosu, announced the deployment of 5,112 personnel across the state to safeguard residents and visitors during the festive period. The deployment spans all 6 area councils, the city center, and other crucial locations vulnerable to criminal activity. In the meantime, the Federal Capital Territory Command of the Nigeria Police has paraded a notorious kidnapper who has been on its wanted list alongside 13 suspects involved in kidnapping, gun running, car theft, and other heinous crimes in Abuja. The command's commissioner, Benneth Igwe, says the arrest was made based on credible intelligence gathering. Kikelemo Okere now tells us more.
According to the Commissioner of Police, Benneth Igwe, the arrest was made by National Intelligence Agency NIA.
I will sincerely apologize for that mix-up there. I will bring you that report subsequently. Kano State Police Command has banned Durbar activities during the forthcoming Eid al-Kabir celebrations in the state. A statement issued by the State Commissioner of Police, Hussaini Gumel, noted that the ban became necessary to sustain the pace by the police command in conjunction with all the relevant security stakeholders. He, however, advised worshippers to conduct their normal Eid prayers at the various designated praying grounds, as was traditionally done in the past. The Armed Forces of Nigeria has disclosed that terrorists and bandits have killed 9 soldiers and 7 other security personnel in Zamfara State during operations since the beginning of June 2024. Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, made this known while keeping journalists abreast with the operational activity of the Nigerian military in Abuja. Kikelemo Okere brings us details.
The Director of Defense Media Operations, who expressed sadness over the security personnel, says they were killed in the fight against the menace of kidnapping and banditry in Zamfara State. He noted that the military is conducting several operations to eliminate the terrorists in Zamfara State, whom Governor has acknowledged to be the epicenter of banditry in the northwest.
Indeed, I would say winning the war without the support of the Governor is even more impossible. It must be noted that despite the state being the epicenter of kidnapping, according to his words, the state has no internal security platform for security forces to coordinate operations.
During the week under review, the director says troops neutralized 197 and arrested 310 persons. Troops also arrested 22 perpetrators of oil theft and rescued 251 kidnapped hostages.
28,360 liters of stolen crude oil, 143,450 liters of illegally refined AGO, and 1,100 liters of DPK, and over 18,000 liters of PNs in the course of the week.
The Military High Command reiterated its commitment to continue to work tirelessly to restore safety and security across the nation. Kikelemo Okere, Global Television News.
Thank you, Kikelemo. You're watching News Cycle coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times channel 276. Remember to follow us on all social media platforms using our Global TVNG and other handles as you now see on your screen. When the news returns, Nigeria records over 1,000 cholera cases as 30 die in 6 months. These and other stories will bring your way shortly. We encourage you to stay with us.
Get ready for it. Inside Today brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and topical issues making rounds. Join Jermaine Manson on Global Television Monday to Thursday and it repeats every Friday. Time 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Don't miss out.
This is Global Television, bringing you live broadcast of News Cycle. Thank you for staying with us. On the foreign scene, the European Union's top court has fined Hungary 200 million euros, an equivalent of $216 million, and imposed a daily €1 million penalty for failing to follow the bloc's asylum laws and illegally deporting migrants. The European Court of Justice says the fine and penalty are because authorities in Budapest are deliberately evading compliance with the European Union laws, despite a 2020 ruling that it must uphold international procedures for asylum seekers. The U.S. Supreme Court has rejected a bid to restrict abortion pill widely used in the United States to terminate pregnancies. The court, in a unanimous opinion, said the anti-abortion groups and physicians challenging the medication, mifepristone, lacked the legal standing to bring the case. The mifepristone case was the first significant abortion case heard by the conservative-dominated Supreme Court since it overturned the previously long-held constitutional right to abortion 2 years ago. And away from the United States, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says he expects important decisions to be made at the G7 summit of leaders from 7 of the world's richest nations. The White House says the G7 has made good progress on the United States' plan to use frozen Russian assets to raise $50 billion, 39 billion pounds a year for the country. Zelensky, who will attend the summit, is also expected to sign new security deals with Japan and the U.S. And now to India, to Asia, where India's foreign ministry says at least 40 Indians are among 49 people killed in a fire at a residential building in the Kuwaiti city of Mangaf. The fire broke out in a building where dozens of workers stayed. Authorities said many of the casualties are from the southern Indian states of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Around 50 Indians have also been injured. And out of business, the World Bank has expressed concerns that the Central Bank of Nigeria's monetary policy tightening may not effectively control inflation. In its Global Economic Prospects report released, that the institution noted one of the significant risks of Nigeria's economic growth is the failure of these tightening policies to rein in inflation. As part of efforts to monetize Nigeria's vast natural gas resources, the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited has executed a project development agreement with Gola LNG for the deployment of floating liquefied natural gas offshore in the Niger Delta. A statement by the company spokesman Olufemi Ogunsheye said the agreement was another major milestone achievement towards ensuring gas commercialization through the deployment of an FLNG facility in Nigeria, in line with President Bola Tinubu's resolve to rapidly commercialize Nigeria's gas assets for the economic prosperity of the nation. Countries on the continent of Africa have been urged to take advantage of the inherent in the African Continental Free Trade Agreement protocols to boost their economies and leapfrog food security in the sub-Saharan region. This is coming on the heels of the revelation that Africa currently has the lowest interregional trade across the world, which represents only about 30% of the continent's global trade compared to Asia's 60%. Weeks after the federal government approved a special purpose vehicle to support the delivery of an additional 90,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable, it has begun talks with the World Bank. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, made the disclosure while announcing the kickoff of Nigeria Week in Washington in the United States. The project aims to increase Nigeria's fiber optic cable capacity from 35,000 kilometers to 125,000 kilometers, making it Africa's third longest terrestrial fiber optic backbone behind South Africa and Egypt. A report by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, says Nigeria's daily oil production has dipped further to 1.25 million barrels per day in May. This is despite the claim by the federal government and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited that the company's oil production has risen to 1.7 million barrels per day. OPEC data showed that Nigeria lost 30,000 barrels per day as crude production dropped from 1.28 million barrels per day in April to 1.25 million barrels per day in May. Meanwhile, reports by the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics have shown that Nigeria's cost of petrol importation has continued to rise despite an almost 50% drop in the nation's consumption rates. In the first quarter of the current year, 2.63 trillion naira was spent on the importation of premium motor spirits, which was 1.4% higher than the cost incurred for the same purpose in the last quarter of 2023. In the last 3 months of 2023, it is estimated that 1.81 trillion naira was expected in importing petrol. And now time to get a kick out of the ever-exciting world of sports. The Professional Footballers Unions of England and France took FIFA to court in Brussels to challenge the timetable unilaterally set by the world body. In particular, its new Club World Cup in 2025. Players' unions have complained that the expanded Club World Cup, due to take place in the United States in June and July next year, is an unacceptable additional burden on players. The organizations believe that these decisions violate the rights of players and their unions under the European Union Law Charter of Fundamental Rights, while also partially violating European Union competition law. A Malaysian international badly hurt in an acid attack in May broke down in tears as he pledged to return to football in a month or two. Selangor FC winger Faisal Halim suffered 4th-degree burns on his neck, shoulder, hands and chest in the attack at a shopping center outside Kuala Lumpur on May 5. The popular 26-year-old spent 3 weeks in hospital and had multiple surgeries for the burns to his skin. Roma have made Samu Omodion their priority to replace Romelu Lukaku ahead of next season. Lukaku's return to Chelsea prompted the Giallorossi to seek a young replacement on the market. Giallorossi director Florence Giosofi immediately focused on Omodion, who now appears to be the capital club's first choice to strengthen the team's attack. The 20-year-old striker is set to make his return to Atletico Madrid after concluding his loan at Aleph with 9 goals to his name. The Nigeria Cricket Federation has completed a 3-day special intervention program at different internally displaced persons camps in Maiduguri, Borno State capital, where they introduced the game to children and adults in the camps. This comes after the Federation's president, Uyi Akpata, promised during the 2022 annual general meeting in Abuja to donate his allowances to the development of the game in the Northeast. Food items and relief materials were donated to the various internally displaced persons camps visited by the members of the cricket family in the region. That's a noble cause there, isn't it? But that's a full circle here on the news, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Remember, we're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles as you now see on your screen. I'm Uyi Agumofwebe. Thank you very specially for joining us on the news. Shortly, we'll bring you Big Talk. Stay with Global Television.